It is rare to find so much industry expertise all in one spot, right at your fingertips. The world of public adjusting and insurance claims can be a scary one. This changes now. That's why we built this podcast for you, where all the industry experts converge. Let us be your guide to education and personal growth. You're listening to Because Experience Matters, the show for public adjusters who want to up their game. Hosted by the 2021 Public Adjuster of the Year, Jack Hanks. How much money are you leaving on the table by not knowing all the approaches you can take to maximize the payouts to the insured and profits for your business? On this show, you will discover untapped strategies to become an unstoppable public adjuster and an effective advocate for your clients. In every episode, Jack brings on all the industry big dogs, including leading roofers, contractors, lawyers, accountants, and marketers. You'll access the insider scoop, real case studies, real obstacles, and actionable winning solutions. Let's jump in so that you can stop working hard and start working smart.
All right, guys, welcome to another podcast, Because Experience Matters. I am Jack Hanks, your wonderful host here today, coming from Scottsdale. I'm excited. One of the really good dudes in our industry is on with me today. And I've got to know Logan and his partners and a few of his guys the last couple of years. And I must say, it's a pleasure working with you guys, getting to know as humans, and it's always cool stuff. So this is Logan Graff from Apple Roofing now and Crest Roofing now, since you guys have merged. So very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. We are super excited to work with your firm when we need to. It's good to have those things in our bag of tricks, if you will.
Yes.
And we were just chatting briefly last week about the influx of new opportunities that we're getting our hands on, and the results that we're getting from your team has been really good. And it gives us a place to go when we're hitting a wall. So
that's it. Every claim doesn't need a PA and attorney, right? It doesn't.
Correct.
If we can get in there and clean up a little bit of a thing here and there for you, that's what we're all about. I don't want every claim from you guys because, number one, we wouldn't be able to do it, right? And number two, there's no reason to pay our fee when you guys can get it done yourselves. That's the idea. We just want the stuff that you need help on. So a lot of guys don't think that way. A lot of guys want all of it or none of it. And that's not a fair assessment.
Yeah. We got to eat tomorrow too. That's our mentality. The benefit from, in my opinion, just to sum it up, and we can jump into our other topics for the day, but the benefit for us is that we have another extension of our business. When, like I said earlier, when we hit a wall, we can't get any more out of the claim, whether it's a tough adjuster or just a scenario about policy coverage or what can we do versus what a licensed professional can do in your line of work. It gives our customer more value. We're not just a roofer. We're a full service company that can take it from cradle to grave. And we have a network of vendors and trusted advisors and team members. That's what I like to call my vendors, trusted advisors that can get the customer the best possible outcome when we're swinging and striking out.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. So let's go back about, how old are you, Logan? How old are you?
I'm level 42, sir.
Level 42. Let's go back about, 22 years. Tell me about how Logan got started, how this all became who you are. And I'm sure it wasn't an easy, you didn't jump out of bed and become awesome, right? It was a little bit of
No, I had a lot more hair back then, but that's okay. Well, I'll just kind of fast forward the first 20 years and then elaborate on the last 20 years.
Okay.
Was born in Evansville, Indiana. My father moved to.
You're kidding me.
No.
I'm from South Bend, Indiana, baby. No wonder we're awesome.
Hoosiers. All right. So born there. My father was an electrical engineer. He's still on the planet today. He's 73. He sells roofs with us every once in a while. He took a job with Texas Instruments in 1980 or so. Him and my mom had moved from my mom's from Fort Worth. He had moved down here. They built a home in Lucas, Texas, which was out in the farm area back then. It's all big now. Grew up in that part of North Dallas, a suburb of North Dallas. Went to high school in Allen, Texas. Got out of high school and went to trade school in Dallas. I wanted to be I wanted to paint cars for a living. I wanted to run my own body shop. So I learned and been around a bunch of guys when I was a teenager who were fixing up cars, and that was exciting for me. So I went to trade school, learned how to weld, learned how to paint, learned all the ins and outs of working in a body shop. Did that for a couple of years and realized I didn't really want to cut my hands up every day and be just filthy dirty. So I decided I wanted to do something else. I didn't have a lot of money, so I got a job to help pay for college at a call center over in Carrollton. Turned out to be a timeshare resort. That paid well, so I quit going to school and started making money and was independent. Lived in Austin for a little bit, and for most of my first career, I ended up getting in the collection agency business. I was in that business for 15 years.
No way.
Commercial collections. And so that was in sales, not the collections aspect. That, for 15 years, you mentioned that story to someone and they'll say, oh, well, don't call me. And I'm like, well, hell, pay your bills. But I was on the sales side of that. And so I was trained by some very good phone room managers and leaders. We were calling businesses to solicit them to turn over their bad debt for collections to us. We would go collect the money, charge a contingency fee, and our sales team made commissions based on the amount of fee that's generated or revenue that's generated from the collection. So it was a very aggressive inside sales position. It was outbound telephone sales long before Zoom and Microsoft Teams or any type of video chat, really when the internet was coming about. I would say it was about the year 2000 is when I started in that. And so it was a aggressive, high energy, high intensity phone sales job. They were buying or dying on the phone. I was trained that way. So that was the world I was in. The first company I worked for 5 years, the second company I worked there for 5 years as well. And then I got tired of the guys I was working for and started my own, ended up selling that and staying with that company for another 5 years, which is kind of a long, elaborate story. But nonetheless, my background is inside sales, telephone sales, communication, building phone rooms, creating a sales team, creating sales organizations, creating those processes to go from prospect to commission as fast as possible. The best way to make a sale is as fast as possible. And as long as you're doing everything on your end to uphold the agreement, then things go smooth. You deal with many challenges along the way. I got good at a young age, learning how to communicate on the phone, learning how to communicate with C-level executives or decision makers who are in charge of a lot of things. And you have to get on eye level with your prospect in any sales scenario. You've got to be able to communicate the way they want to communicate, right, and talk their language, if you will. So, and I failed a lot. Believe me, I messed up a whole lot in that business. I was aggressive over the phone, and those tasks taught me how to become a better salesperson. If the one thing I could hang my hat on that I think all of that taught me 15 years in the phone room is just communication skills. Yeah. Being able to communicate with people was one of the most underrated, but most important things that anybody can do, not just in sales, but in business in general. If your communication skills are poor, your customers are going to pick up on that and they're not going to buy from you. So
interesting that point. I was a communications minor in college. I went to Indiana, IU baby. And, right. I didn't learn a lot. I learned how to drink and stay out all night and do dumb stuff mostly, but I did learn a few things. So one of my communications professors taught me, he goes, poor communication, there's no excuse because it's free. It's all about energy and wanting to do it. It's like rebounding in the NBA. You have to want to rebound. Same thing with communication. You have to want to communicate. Like sending a text or an email or a phone call, it's just time. You're not writing a check to do it. But if you don't do those things, those little communication skills, it will cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in the long run. And that's what people don't get, man. That's crazy.
And communicating is not just about getting your point across.
Yeah.
In that collection space, we're dealing with, like I said, decision makers. It could be companies as small as Joe the plumber and as large as Coca-Cola. You're getting a decision maker on the phone. It was a cold call. You're catching them while they're busy. It's out of the blue. And we had to create attention and give them something that would convince them to stay on the phone for 30 more seconds or stay engaged for another 30 seconds so I could get them to talk to me about their problems, and then I could provide them with a solution. So there was many different aspects of that sale. So being able to get someone's attention and keep their attention is the experience that I've gained. Funny thing, because experience does matter. I think that's yielded into some very beneficial things over time in the roofing space. But I can elaborate on how I got into the roofing world if you want.
Yeah, that's so yeah, you're a Johnny Collection guy. Now, how the hell did you get into roofing from that?
Okay. So in 2010, when my wife was pregnant with our son, his name is Cole. He's 11 now. The guys I was working for had some little bit of financial troubles. They weren't doing the right thing when we were collecting money for customers. Obviously, you have to pay them that money that you collect for them. You take your fee and you send them the rest. Okay. Well, my supervisor wasn't sending them their fee or their money, and I knew what was going on. And so I kind of drew a line in the sand and said, hey, you've got to take care of this client or I'm going to leave. And he was like, well, I've got to take care of some other things first. We'll get back to you. In other words, he was saying, piss off. I'm not paying the client. So I left, went, started my own collection agency, was doing it on my own while my wife was pregnant, right before our son was born. I was the salesman, the collector, the bookkeeper, the CFO. I turned the lights out at night. Yeah. And, I went and got an office space day one because I needed structure, and that's what I was used to. A lot of people start their business at their home or out of their home. That just wasn't for me. I needed structure. So I started that. I got approached by a company here in DFW that wanted me to come help build a sales team. They gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse. So I sold the business. It was less than a year old, but I sold the business, which basically was me and a book of clients that knew me, liked me, trusted me. And we went to Richardson, Texas, and they had about 12 salespeople there. I worked there for 5 years. We left. We had 60 salespeople, all inside sales, same industry. The part of the agreement for the sale of my business included a 5-year vested term. So after that 5 years was up, I kind of went back to them and wanted to renegotiate. They didn't wish to renegotiate. So I resigned. And I called my friend Sam Struthers at the time. He had he had started Crest about 8 months prior. And we had always kept in touch. Him and my wife lived on the same street growing up as kids.
Oh, no kidding. That's the connection.
Yeah, we had a lot of mutual friends growing up. One of his best friends was the brother of my best friend. So we're 2 grades apart in school, but only about 15 months apart in age. Okay. So we grew up in the same town. Like I said, Allen, Texas was a small town then, and everybody knew everybody. And he was always pretty successful in his adjusting career. And he would travel the country adjusting claims for 6 months, and then he'd go play golf for 6 months. I figured out that's how he got so good at golf. So I literally knocked on his door and said, hey, I need a job for a year, because I had to bridge a non-compete. My goal was to let that non-compete expire, and I was going to go start another collection agency. I knew that business well. I know the business model. I even presented it to Sam, and he was like, no, I'm not really interested. I'm just starting this thing. So I put that on the back burner and just said, hey, I need a job for a year. That was April 1st, 2016, that we put a deal together, and I came on just as a roofing salesman. Didn't know anything about roofing. Right. Didn't even know what a pipe jack was. Had no idea about a lot of stuff. And then 11 days later, the big Wiley storm hit.
Oh, God, yeah.
2016. And so he was like, all right, I don't have any more time for you to bug me every day. You're out on your own after 10 days of training. But he gave me a lot of good knowledge. And, I spent the rest of that year banging my head against the wall on some deals and closing some deals and turning some dollars, and had a pretty successful year for a first-year salesperson in roofing that year. And as we approached the Christmas season, I had reminded him that I was planning to go back into collections come April 1st. No fooling. That was my term date on the non-compete. And funny enough, I took the job the first day I came in when Sam said, yeah, let's go. We worked out a few of the kinks, but it was a straight commission position. Right. And I was super grateful. But as the end of that year was approaching, I was still having the collections game in the back of my head and different ideas and strategies. And of course, I had clients and salesmen that were calling me all the time saying, "Hey, when are you starting your new one?" And I had to ignore those people because the non-compete was that aggressive.
Oh God, yeah, okay.
I didn't want to mess with that. It just wasn't worth it. I was a good enough salesperson. I could have gone and sold vacuums door to door and made a living. I had, at that time I had two young children and we were doing okay. So after the holidays came and went, we decided that a sales manager role would be more fit for the company, and we focused on trying to grow Crest. And him and I put a partnership together through some sweat equity, if you will. We had a very good year that year, and he enjoyed what I was bringing to the table. I enjoyed the knowledge that he had brought to the table, and we just decided to become business partners. We put a very ironclad, clear buy-sell agreement together up front, basically a marriage contract in business. And I was concerned that if we're going to go into business together, great. What if it doesn't work out? How do we get out of business together?
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of partnerships fail.
Yes. I was in commercial collections all the time, and we would hear it every single day. People playing that violin about, "Oh, my partner stole my money. I can't pay your client, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Well, I was privy to that. And so we both agreed that it should be set up the right way. So we did that. And man, tell you what, 6 years goes by so fast. It's hard to believe, but it's been 6 years since that. And a lot of things have changed.
Yeah. So do you think, is there any similarities between businesses, between roofing and there has to be, right? I mean, as far as getting, money and cash and collecting money.
Sure. Well, regardless what you're selling, there's a lot of similarities in the collections business and the roofing business. And what I mean by that is when you're providing a service or a product to a customer, you have to be transparent and upfront. You have to maintain integrity throughout, and then you have to deliver one way or the other. Sometimes it's good news, sometimes it's bad news. Individually, you have to be able to present both scenarios and do it straightforward. So the similarities are, yeah, we operate on cash, but that's every business in America. The similarities are, we have a sales process. There is competition. Customers are not always going to be straightforward with you. So you've got to scratch, claw, and bite until you can get the truth so that you can go provide a solution. I learned really quick in the collections business that it's not about features and functions and benefits of the company. The customer doesn't care about our company. They care about their problem and a solution for their problem. So the sooner you can get to wherever the customer's pain points are, the sooner you're going to get to the close. And those are the similarities in this business, is we're dealing with a customer who's in an emotionally distressed scenario. People don't, let's face it, people don't wake up in the morning and think about buying a new roof like they would buying a new car.
Right.
It's not a sexy item to go spend money on a roof. It's usually caused by a catastrophe, whether it's wind, hail, hurricane, whatever. So we have to know up front that their emotions are running a little bit rampant. And not to sound bad, but we kind of have to feed off of that. We have to get them emotional, get them talking about their problems, and then we can provide a solution. And the solution sounds so much better than their problem, which is in the palm of their hand. That increases the odds of them buying from you. So that there is a lot of similarities. And of course, you got to know how to collect money. If you can't ask for money in sales, you should get out of sales, whatever business line you're in.
Yep.
You have to be able to ask for the money. You have to be able to be upfront about it, not be afraid of it. And there seems to be quite a few collection problems in the roofing world. So that's been helpful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is number one, I was in construction way before I became a PA. What I've noticed in the last 30 some years is the problem with our industry is great roofers don't automatically mean they're great businessmen. Great drywallers, great painters very rarely can transition into a business. That's the problem. I struggle in business sometimes, but I have a good solution in the background. My partner's phenomenal, and he has a team, right? We have a team behind me to keep those bumpers up. And I think what people don't realize is roofing is not about the shingles and the tile and and the membrane in the roof jack. It's about the processes, the sales, and getting it dialed in correctly. So when the job is done and you hand the ticket to the consumer, they write you the check. Because without all those other things, man, you got to be credit lines, your ABC Supply and Beacon. There's so many moving parts in this thing. A lot of guys lose perspective on it is a business, man, and you have to run it like a business, and it's going to suck some days, right?
Yes. You're going to get hit over the head several times in while you're learning. You know what? I'm telling you today, we've been in business 6 years. We haven't figured it all out. We've been very lucky from working hard and running into opportunities. That's where luck comes in my opinion. We've had some great team members that have stuck with us throughout the years to make that process great. But the other things that don't get enough credit are the laborers, the installers, the experts that know what they're doing. Those are the real people that make us shine and make us look good. You know, there's 10 different departments within the business that all have to be functioning.
Yes.
You know, like the cogs of a wheel, it's all got to be in line for the product to be delivered perfectly. And there's bumps in the road. I know the things I'm not good at. And so we hire and train for those things. I know the things that I am good at. So we hire and train for those things. Same with my partner. You know, if people know us like really well, they know that we're really different from each other. But there was a lot of reasons why that I feel we make a great partnership, because we're like yin and yang.
Yep.
The things he's really good at, I'm not so good at. The things I'm really good at, he's not so good at. And there's no ego to check at all. Right. We're just, hey, I don't want to mess with that. I'm not that good at it anyways. You can do that, or vice versa.
When you're both very genuine people, though, which is the key to that. Because if you didn't have the best intentions, that would never, you know what I mean? That's the key too.
Yeah. And, you know, with the recent fun and exciting things going on in our business, we've met a lot of other people that have very similar qualities. You know, I can't speak highly enough about the team at Apple, our new partners there. The leaders in that company are just pristine human beings, just a great example of good businessmen. And then another recent acquisition that we made with Triad, those people as well. And there's a vetting process that took place to get us to learn who those people are and get them to learn who we are and make an agreement.
So how hard was that? So you and Sam are doing great, right? Phenomenally well, successful. I mean, fairly new company. I mean, at five years into it, you guys were already top of the food chain, really. How hard was that what was the thought process in the going with Apple? Like, how did that even become a thing? Because most people in your position would have been like, you know what, we're fine. We're going to do what we do. We're going to keep running these freaking hurricanes and do what we do. How did that become, number one, from a discussion? I get the discussion, but to come to fruition all the way, because very rarely does it go from point A to point Z. Usually something falls apart before it gets to that point.
That's true. And there were a few times when it may have fell apart. You know, I think it boils down to our mentalities. In the collection space, I was always interested in being a top producer, because not only that, I wanted to earn more and I wanted to get in front of bigger companies and be their collections guy. They're the largest companies in the world use a bill collector at some point. They use an attorney, a collection agency, or they have an internal process. So my thought process was always like, I don't care what the name of the company is. I want to identify the decision maker and get him to do business with me. And that was a goal for me. Sam's mentality was similar. He had some very big goals, some very big aspirations. You know, we both came from good families, but middle class, nothing extravagant. You know, neither one of us were born with a silver spoon in our mouth. We've worked for everything we got, and there's a lot of people that, you know, can share that story too. But after the first 2 years of us being in business, you know, we had doubled revenue, and we were dead set on, hey, we're going to continue that pattern. There's no reason why we can't. If we hire, if we train, if we put ourselves in the right markets, if we go meet with the right people, ask the right questions, absorb the answers, and implement what we learn, then there's no reason why we can't continue on that path. So we had a sit down meeting with just ourselves one day and said, hey, we want to go meet 20 people this year that are successful, 20 business owners, 20 CEOs, 20 large roofing company owners. And we want to ask them every question they'll let us ask them until they say, get out of my office or whatever, you know. And we got tons of good feedback. that's really how we became friends with a lot of the folks in our market, because we went and sat down and had real conversations with real people and accepted their feedback and their questions too. And as we continued to grow, Sam ran across some companies that had been involved in a private equity event a few years back, and they were doing really well with it, and they were growing, and their business model was really attractive. They were out of Minnesota. And so we went up and met with those guys. I'll leave their names out of it now. Great guys, though. Great, absolute guys. Still friends with them today. We went and met with them in Minnesota and learned a little bit about what that means. It was very intimidating for me because we were still a small business doing less than 20 million in revenue. This company had the same amount of employees, working in the same size general market, if you will, for a headquarters. And they were doing 60, 70 million in revenue. And we were like, okay, that's what we're missing. We need processes. So we continued down that path with those guys, and we got really close to doing a deal to merge with a different company. And then it just didn't work out. I don't remember all the details, but it didn't work out. And it kind of took a little bit of wind out of our sails for a minute, but Sam was back at it, and he found some more companies, and we would go to the different annual conference events, and we would try to meet and visit with all types of people in the industry. And there's been a bunch of people trying to do roll-ups, and there's been a couple that have actually gone through. I couldn't tell you about the success rate really because I've been way too busy with our own deal, but I've heard some good and some bad, and they can go all over the board. But Sam and Dustin had met at a couple of those events, and ironically, they had both been talking to some different people in the private equity space, and those guys had kept confidence on who they were speaking with. So Dustin and Sam were kind of playing a chess match about who they were talking to, but they were talking to the same guy.
Right.
And they didn't know that until the LOI came out. So we visited with the PE guys, and then we visited with Apple. We talked about our business model versus their business model. And to summarize that, we've been storm chasers. We'll go to where the storm is and set up there and stay as long as the work is there.
Yeah.
They have built a business that they tagged the term storm catcher. They were in a new market. They would go open up in a new town, regardless of a weather event or not, and just build a greenfield, if you will, somewhere new. And so that was their business model. They had some success with that. So they're storm catchers. We're storm chasers. We figured out how we can blend those two models together and make it work. And then it was presented to the firm. Those guys were all about it. We met for 18 months over the ins and outs, the crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's, and it just happened. I couldn't believe it when it did.
Right.
But we closed that deal last August, the 27th. We celebrated for one day, and then Hurricane Ida hit, and we went back to work. So it's been work since then, and I'm happy to do that. I'm excited about what we have going on. But that's it in a nutshell, Jack, how we got that together.
It's not for everybody, though. I mean, I can see. So was it very, very rarely does that ever come to fruition? I mean, I've been approached by a million different equity firms, and it's hard to do what we do and scale it because, man, there's so many freaking moving parts. It's like you guys. I mean, you had to be almost dead perfect going into that thing to come out the other side, right? I mean,
sure. Yeah. And it took 3 years to do the deal. 3 real long years of answering their questions, letting them dive into your books, and then still producing. You couldn't just put the business on pause. So I credit Sam with the majority of that back end legwork. He has a degree in accounting, and he's very good on that aspect. So that's really what those companies want to know. Are you producing revenue? Are you profitable? And can you scale? And will this last?
Yeah.
And so we were able to prove that, and we're continuing to prove that. And I think that's where a lot of people miss the boat. They can have a good year or a good 6 months or even a good 2 years, and their numbers can look good. But investors want to know, is that sustainable, and can it grow?
Yeah.
And if you can't prove that, those deals will fall faster than they start.
there's not a good hurricane every year. That's what these guys, a lot of roofers and PAs miss the boat. You got to have other stuff going on besides a hurricane, right?
Absolutely.
If you're waiting on that, you're going to be in trouble. We haven't had a good hurricane in Florida in 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah.
if you're not out chasing other stuff, right?
Yeah. Before we got into Florida, we knew, there's a saying that we've heard. I don't know if you've heard it too, but roofing companies go to Florida to die. Unless you're from Florida and you're a roofer, then the rules and the laws. We saw a lot of people go down there. We were scared to go to Florida. We didn't get a license in Florida until about 3 years ago, just because we were just scared. We'd heard the horror stories, and you know what? I'll tell you what, those horror stories are true. It's the hardest state to put a roof on.
Really?
Anywhere. Yeah, just with all the inspections and the legal documents. And I respect those things because they were designed to protect the consumer. And, but when we're selling in the Wild Wild West, aka DFW, there's 6,000 roofers here competing for business. Yeah, there's no regulations here. We've tried to put ourselves in line for success. And it's still, we haven't hit easy street. It has not one part of it's been easy. Even today, there's still struggles that go on in our business, and we look them right in the eye every Monday morning and get ready for the problems and go solve them and move on.
So tell me about you got 2 younger kids and having a family in the balance. Has it been a struggle at all for you to kind of keep that? It was a struggle for me for a long time. I think my kid's a little bit older. But it took me a good, 15, 16, 17 years to figure out I had a duty to them as much and more so than my business. And I think I struggled to I always put my business first. I took care of it. But I was never emotionally invested as I needed to be until the last 4 or 5 years. I regret that a little bit. However, I wouldn't be the good father I am now without that old stuff going on either. Do you have any struggles with that at all? Or
yeah, a lot. That's actually an important topic. When I told one of my mentors that I grew up with, his name was Bob Thurgood. I told him the day I was going into roofing, and he was, like I said, a long-term family friend. Came to our wedding. He's known me since I was a little kid, since I was a teenager in Allen. And he told me, "Hey, does Lindsay know?" And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, does she know you're going to be traveling?" I was like, "Oh, there's going to be hail right here in Dallas. I'm not going to have to travel anywhere. What are you talking about?" Yeah. He laughed out loud. And I was like, I don't really know what he's talking about, until the next year when the storm hit out of town and we were going to go chase it. So the first year, not such a big deal. The second and third and fourth years, we have had to find balance. And, as a family leader, it doesn't matter if you're a male or a female, a father or a mother. Right. If you're a leader in that family, sometimes you have to sacrifice some things. I hate having to sacrifice time away from our family, but it's my duty and my obligation to support them and to give them the best thing that they can. And as I stated before, I'm not afraid of a challenge. Neither is my partner. In fact, he's probably less afraid than I am. We have a duty and an obligation to get where we want to go. We haven't gotten there yet, but we do struggle with the I don't like the term work-life balance. To me, that's more of a corporate term, even though we're growing into being a bigger company, and people can throw that term around the corporate world. We're getting more balance because we're trusting more people. We're getting more experienced people within our team to help do those tasks. And we really do want everybody to have that balance, whatever they want it to be. It may be different from me and you than it is for a 25-year-old guy that's on our team. Yeah. It varies. We did struggle for that. God bless my wife. She put up with a lot, being on those hurricanes on 10 and 20-day missions without being able to come home. That was hard. And our kids are 8 and 11. So these are important times for me to be around. Oh, yeah. And so we're doing our best to keep that balanced, but she understands the assignment. She knows where my goals are at, and she's a big part of why I'm at where I'm at too, because she supports the household when I'm not able to physically be there, and we have a good balance on that. Just yesterday was Lindsay's birthday. I took the day off. I took the day off. That's just our thing. On each other's birthdays, we're off. We're spending time together. She's my best friend. She puts up with my, so yep. I can help out as often as I can. But yeah, that has been a struggle.
I think all of us, I mean, we're all type A entrepreneurs, right? So that's our thing. It's our thing. And then you have to take a pause sometimes, because without that back end stuff, it wouldn't really matter anyway, right? Like it means more to me to be successful because I can support my family, and they can go to college and do the good things and not worry about daily crap that we all had to worry about when we were younger. So it means a lot to me to be able to do that. At the same time, I don't want to miss the emotional connection because I'm out grinding every day, right? So you gotta,
sure,
man, it's a lot, dude. And it took me a while. Like I was older when I figured that out. So,
and it's important also, in my opinion, that we share this stuff with our team. If they see the leaders leading and doing the tough things first, eventually they're going to get better at doing the tough things first as well. That's something we've struggled with lately, as bringing on new people, creating new positions, putting managers in place, and then holding them accountable. That's a challenge in itself too.
let me ask, are you finding that hiring fresh people with no roofing experience is better than hiring a 20-year roofer, or is it both?
I like both, because the experienced guy typically can go out and solve the problems from his experience that a new person wouldn't. I like the new person because they don't have the habits of an experienced person. And notice I didn't say bad habits, because if somebody's been successful in an industry over a long period of time, greater than 5 years, then yeah, they may have some bad habits, but they also have some pretty good ones. So I'm more apt to look at the good habits than the bad. So we found both. I like the new guy. The new guy is our future. Whether or not they, or girl, whether or not they have experience in the industry is irrelevant. What I'm looking for is, are they willing to put in the work? Are they willing to put in the time? Are they willing to do what we ask them to do and do what we say? Because we're not telling them to do something that's not going to make them money. Right. We're giving them tools and experience to use. We've made all the bad mistakes. Paul Reed used the term all the time when we were interviewing and asking questions of successful people. Paul would always say, you pay enough dumb tax, you're gonna learn. And I hate to say it, we're still paying dumb tax, and it's preventable, but it just happens.
Well, dude, the industry changes, like, for us too. The industry goes so fast and change. Like Florida statutes are going to change. The law is going to change in Florida. Mm-hmm. Louisiana's laws just changed a year ago. So, like you guys, we have to look at that stuff, because if we go in guns a-blazing and don't have our ducks in a row and did our research and make a wrong decision or a wrong judge, we're fiduciaries. We have millions of dollars of other people's money run through our account. That can be devastating and costly, and also not very fun. So you got always got
problematic.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. These hurricanes, man, I'll tell you what, I was in Idaho. We were there. We got there 2 days later, and we just got back on right before Christmas, like you guys. And I don't think people get the sacrifice, the commitment that these teams and guys and girls have to make as a PA or a roofer. Not so much you and I, because we can fly back home, do what we got to do. But the guys on the ground living in those trailers and picking up their roots and going there for 4, 5, 6 months and not knowing a thing. Is it nuts when you think about that, isn't it?
It's very much so. It's an experience unlike any other. And I think that is what keeps the business interesting.
Yeah.
We talk all the time about our wins, and we don't talk much about the losses because they hurt. But the sales team, they make some lifelong memories when they go chase those storms. It's not for the weak. No. It's not for the ones that are not independent. You have to be very strong-minded, not just to go down there and be able to work and wear yourself out and tired, but the stuff that you see and physically experience. If you have half of a heart or half of a soul, that stuff will rock you.
Oh man.
If you're not prepared for it. I remember the first hurricane I worked, I'd never seen anything like that. And the power of the Almighty is something else. And when you see, people just, a hailstorm, that's not that big of a deal. You see a skylight broken out, a window busted out, some car windows busted out. Yeah, that's pretty tragic. But when you go to a hurricane drop zone and people's houses just aren't there anymore.
Like literally aren't there.
yeah, that stuff will shake you up real good. So I have had the same conversation with our team on our way down there. Let's be safe. Let's remember what we're here to do. You know, we came across quite a few phrases along the way of mission statements and things our company's about, you know, here to help and integrity before profit. We wear those things on our shirts and on our backs and on our trucks for a reason.
Yeah.
We are there to help people, and we are focused on integrity. Make no mistake, we're there to make money too. This is our career. This is how we support our families and our friends and our employees, and how we plan on growing. But you know, there's a lot of emotions that run all over the map with these large catastrophe events, and I'm not afraid of the next one. I know it's going to be a little more challenging. It gets more challenging every year, you know.
One thing as a group or an industry, I think we all need to do a better job. I know I do, is empathy, because what happens is you get in these hurricanes, and Ida was my 19th hurricane, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? But what happens is it's very routine for me to drive in there and get the motorhome going and start doing my thing. And like, does that make like it's a job, and I get it. It doesn't faze me anymore. I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me one bit. But the problem we run into as an industry and our culture here too is we become so ingrained in getting the job done, we forget that Betsy or Jamie or Alan or their house, like you just said, it's gone. It is gone. They're in a hotel, they're in an apartment, they're in a condo, they're uprooted, they lost all their stuff. And I get upset because I get a text Sunday night at 8:00 about an update. And we need to do a better job to empathize with these insureds, because they're getting their asses literally handed to them, and their life is turned upside down. And you and I go home to our homes in Scottsdale and Dallas, and we're fine. And they still have to deal, even though we got them the money and you guys put the roof on, right? They still have all their stuff that they have to deal with, the emotional baggage of that, and the toll. And they were living in a shelter for 3 weeks. So we forget that as a industry. And I think we're getting better with it at all, but I think we all need to take pause of this, because man, I couldn't imagine going home today and losing all my stuff.
No, and just seeing there's been a whole bunch of tornadoes this year.
Oh man,
those are just as bad. You were down there at some of the ones for us in Austin.
Yep.
And yeah, like I said, it'll shake your soul. And
yes,
this sounds weird. I'll just say it anyways. It's a good thing that happens, because if it didn't, then I feel like we wouldn't deserve the right to be in the industry.
Yeah.
If you can't have empathy, you don't deserve to be in this business, because there's plenty of money to be made. Money isn't the number one goal. There's plenty of money to be made. If you're in it for the right reasons, the business will reward you in any side of the fence, whether you're a contractor or an attorney or a public adjuster, appraiser, salesman, inspector, adjuster, all things aside. I'm not talking smack about anyone. Everybody plays a role in this industry. And like I stated before, like our business, all those things have to be working in order to get the best possible result. But you have to have empathy. It's shocking how many people go through these scenarios. And then those people of Louisiana are just absolutely resilient. You know, we've met some of the coolest and kindest hearted folks that we've ever met from Louisiana. And that's the real reward for us. You know, money's up there like oxygen. You have to have it to live. But the reward from showing up at a catastrophic event until that customer can be back into their property and it's back to normal, man, that's the real reward. We have several. Go ahead.
We have a claim, actually, I think it's one of yours in Louisiana. She's a doctor at Tulane, and I went to the house, and it was slate decimated, gone. And I won't mention the insurance company, but they denied the claim. And I don't handle a lot of the claims here. I have a staff and team, and they do all their thing. Right. And this one kept getting it denied, and I'm like, you know what? So I called the adjuster and I said, "You're wrong. I've been doing this a long time, man. I know these claims. Like I know what real damage is and not real damage. Right. This is real damage, and you're wrong." And last week, finally, I posted this on Facebook. We had 138 emails and phone calls in this claim into the carrier to get it approved. Okay. And it was only a $140,000 claim, which in our world, it's not a big deal, right? And our fee is going to be $13,000 on that claim. And I guarantee we lost money on it. And I was okay with that just because at the end of the day, it was the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We fight the good fight for folks.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of supplementing in-house because there's a cost savings there.
Sure.
But also I have employees that need to make money, and they're really good at writing estimates and negotiating and things like that. So there's quite a benefit for that. We're able to employ those people at a very good wage, and they're passionate about what they do. But yeah, we run across that all the time. And some people would say, oh, you're spinning your wheels. If it takes you 3 or 4 months to settle a supplement, you know, you're not really making money. But that's not what we're doing that one supplement for. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Yep. You had another customer of ours that with that Monair tile roof in Austin. You know, we spent 7 or 8 months on that claim from the storm date until the day we got to put the roof on. And the customer came back to us, by the way, at the end, and she was like, you know, I just can't believe you guys. It almost feels like we're family, and now we're having to split up the day the roof's done, and they were paying us, you know. And she still calls me and Ethan, you know, once a month to say hi. We drop in and say hello to her. So that's really where it's at. Yeah. And that supplement process, we did spend too much time on it. It took a little while to get the appraisal done. We both probably ended up in the red on that one. Yeah. As far as our time is concerned.
It was the right thing to do, though. We had to get creative on that because the other side was being impossible, and they were dead ass wrong, Logan. They were dead ass wrong.
And we count every win. The quick wins, nobody remembers that. The ones that really you have to roll your sleeves up on and get multiple people involved. Those are the real ones you remember. And you know why I like those? Because the next time we run across those adjusters, and we will, these insurance companies aren't going anywhere. The next time we run across them, they're gonna remember that, hey, we know what we're doing. We're gonna do it with integrity. We're gonna hold you accountable. And if you wanted to hold us accountable, please do so. You know, we'll pass every test that's thrown at us from a legal and an ethical standpoint. And so we're not afraid. And that's been something that's motivated our entire company before. That's different than others. I think we're not afraid to go take on those real challenging jobs. The ones that are going to take a lot of work to get approved or a lot of work to get the job done. You know, we are in business to make money, and we want everything to be smooth, but it's not always that way. People get
that one large claim we're doing together. We had a conference call last week with one of our best law firms. We've been fighting that for a year, you and I. Yeah. And we got to the point that got taken care of today, by the way. But we finally got them to another portion of the claim because you couldn't go any farther. We got it. We couldn't go any farther. Now we had to litigate the damn thing. Yeah. And it was cool. We had engineers, attorneys, you and I, and the homeowner on the phone, and we're discussing it. What's best for her, not about you or I or whatever. It was what's best for her. And it's gut wrenching. This poor family, there's a million leaks in that house, man.
Yeah.
And the insurance company's like, go pound sand. We're like, nope, we're not going to go pound sand.
They just wanted them to go away. That's a whole different podcast for a whole nother day.
Oh my God. Right.
About those tactics. It's crazy though. But like I said, we like every one of the wins we can get our hands on. It's a win.
Hey dude, let's talk about Logan Slogans.
Hey, I love
one of my favorite things besides Phil Sanoff every morning, posting his video. My second, my top one is Logan Slogans, and this cool hat I got. Can you kind of talk about how that became like your passion and why that came to fruition, why it's so important to you, and why you do it?
You know, it started back in the collections business. Okay. You know, I grew up middle class. My parents were good parents. They're still both alive today. I was taught right from wrong. Life took me for a few wrong turns here and there, like everybody does. But when I got into the collections game, we're dealing with people who don't want to talk to us on the phone. We're cold calling business owners who don't know who we are. And you get called every name in the book when you're a bill collector. I wasn't even the collector. I'm the sales rep just trying to call and help them out. Right. So you would get head trash after several days of being told, no, 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 I'm not interested. No, go get a real job. Hey, go F yourself. Hey, I'm not interested. Hey, don't call back here. No's after no's after no's. I'm talking we would make 200 phone calls a day on a busy day where we didn't make a lot of contacts. So the brain is really weird, right? The brain can go one way or the other in reference to positivity or negativity. So one thing that helped me be a better producer and a better employee in the collections business was by keeping positive. So every morning I would write down, a quick few lines about what I'm going to do today, what some of my goals are for the day. And at the end of the day, if I hit them, great. If not, I throw that piece of paper in the trash and I come back the next day and start over. So maintaining a clear head and not having head trash was something that I got used to at an early age.
I love
and
that.
So a guy in our industry actually one day, so when social media came out, I started, I don't know, what am I going to post every day? I don't want to ever hear anybody's dirty laundry or drama on Facebook. If that happens, they get off my friends list really quick. And I don't do any other social media platforms. Somebody created an Instagram page for me one time. I just don't have time to keep up with them all. So it's just Facebook for me. I don't even do LinkedIn. I should, but I don't. For me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate my Facebook posts to people who need some help. So every morning I would get up and try to put a powerful statement or a quote or something that would motivate people on their drive into work or when they're getting out of bed or when they're having their coffee, whatever, something positive to put more positive in the world, because the world definitely needs it. It needed it 15 years ago. It's going to need it 15 years from now. So that was where it started. And I would just post something positive every day on a consistent basis. And hell, 7-8 years goes by. I meet a few different people in this industry. And one day I asked the Facebook, hey, I'm thinking of a name for these sayings or phrases that I put out. And Latif actually said, man, you should call it Logan Slogans. And I was like, oh, that's funny. And it kind of, stayed in the back of my head for over a year. And then, funny enough, I needed another write-off or two, and I asked my CPA if I started a business, can I run it out of my house? Is there any savings on taxes or something like that? That was really my goal. Turns out that didn't save me any money. It just cost me money. But so I went and trademarked Logan Slogans. I went and got some apparel. I went and got a website. I went and I wrote a book that I never published because I've been busy. I just did that. And to me, it was kind of a bucket list thing. I wanted to create something that was my own. And I haven't really gone anywhere with it. We were a little bit slower 2 years ago. That's really when I started putting some more effort into it. But I realized quickly that I can't be I can't work two different jobs. I got to stick with one and stick with it hardcore. So really all I did is I wanted to have the name out there and have some cool apparel and some cool slogans. Maybe one day somebody will show up and say they want me to do more with it. Maybe one day when I get tired of doing what I'm doing here, I can explore more of that. But the real goal of that, Jack, is to put more positivity out there. Really in our space of roofing, yes, but in the whole world in general. We have a very strict rule about positivity here at Crest and at Apple, and no negativity. Nothing's ever coming out good from when you have head trash or you're upset. And it's okay to be upset. It's okay to have some negativity here and there, but I promise you, as soon as you can catch it and flip the switch over to positivity, things will improve. And that's what I bring to the world with Logan Slogans, man. That's
I love it. That's one of my favorite things. I see that every day. I'm like, dude, and some of them, dude, you see my comments, like some of them hit home because it's weird. Sometimes you just need to see that and it clicks like, damn, sure. I'm not going to be such an asshole today. Cause I mean, honestly, it's affected my day sometimes. I'm not going to, and that's a huge credit to you. And that's a thing, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, that was why it was created, because like I said, I grew up in a world where there was negative stuff going on all the time. Even when you would make a sale in the collections business, that didn't mean anything. We had to go collect the money after we got somebody to give us the account. And, there were bad things that would happen in that would throw us off the rails, like a company filing for bankruptcy or going out of business with no personal guarantee, that's an uncollectible account. Having to call your client back and tell them, hey, I know that guy that owed you $100,000. Well, he filed for bankruptcy, and there is massive amounts of bad debt out there. So you had to learn the difference between good debt and bad debt. Stuff that we could collect was what we would call good, obviously.
Right.
The bad was stuff that we couldn't collect. It was a waste of everyone's time. So there was a lot of head trash that went on in that business because it was commission only. You don't eat unless we're collecting dollars, and that would affect people differently. So it was kind of my role on myself at first, and then with the rest of the team to spread more positivity and believing in ourselves and expecting good things and expecting the right results and expecting ourselves to hit those goals, and then transforming what's in my head onto paper or into other people's heads has been something that I'm real passionate about as well. There's always going to be something in our way to slow us down. There's always going to be a challenge to get us off of our pattern or where we're trying to go. The quicker you get over that and get back to being focused on what you're looking for, the better off you're going to be. That's my thoughts.
Well, Facebook, and it's so much negative energy sometimes. It
can be.
It takes me everything I have not to make. Some of the stuff I see, it's like, guys, what the hell? Like, come on, man.
Sure.
Stop with the drama, dude. Get out of bed and go to work. And then
I delete those people, and it's nothing personal against them. I just don't have time for that in my life. I got enough stuff going on already. I don't need negative Nancy or bad mood Bobby in my way. I got places to go,
No, that's awesome, dude.
Also teaching our children that too. Yeah. It's very important. Confidence isn't something we're all born with. It can go up or down over time. And
it can be affected by a negative post. I see my daughter, she's graduating Friday from U of A, and that generation, thanks, but that generation, it's all Instagram and Facebook, and that becomes almost their identity. And it's just bullshit. It's not who you are, man. It's kids. I like growing up in the 80s, and I did. We didn't have this stuff. We just did our own thing, and whatever happened. These kids are so worried about who they're with, who they're seen with, what they're saying, what they're not saying, their opinion on different things. And it's just like, man, just live your life, bro,
And we have to adapt because unfortunately social media is not going away. It's a trap and everybody's falling into it. But
business, man. What if I had told you 6-7 years ago how prevalent Facebook is and for Crest roofing?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
we got. I'm not going to say we were the inventors, but we put a lot of things on the map with social media marketing when we were a new company, and not just about, hey, we're the biggest, baddest, greatest. It's like, hey, here's who we are. We're easy to find. Get at us with whatever you need, and we've gotten a very, very, very large amount of business from social because people can see who we are, what we're doing. We're transparent. We answer our phone. We deal with problems. We resolve issues, we resolve complaints, we don't bury them, we pay our bills, we pay our salespeople, we do the right thing, and we've taken some lumps. Like I said, we've had some hits over the head. Some of our team members that have been with us for a long time, they've witnessed some of it as well. We've had good big jobs lined up that go bad, or we've have one job that we thought was going to cost X and ended up costing twice as much, and we don't make any money. But you know what? We finish the job. We don't leave things hanging out to dry. If you mess up on those things, it's okay. How you fix them is what determines what kind of business you are in the future.
Yeah, and person you are.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And that has to spread. All that goes back down to positivity. Doing the right thing. Thinking about what we're doing, where we're going, what the vision is long term. We knew we were going somewhere and we knew kind of where it was at. And once we get there, we're like, all right, now what? So we had to set bigger goals, bigger tasks, bigger objectives. And we're going further. Like I said, we're just getting started with this. We're super excited about all of it.
So I have one last question. I ask all my guests this. I don't want you to go back and change anything, but if you had to go back, 20, 21, 22 years ago, and grab young Logan by the back of the neck and give him any advice whatsoever that you've learned, what would you tell him?
Save more money and don't waste time. Time is time. That's what I would say. Use your time more wisely, because there was plenty of time that I wasted where I could have been educating myself on something else, not necessarily going to college or doing that, but I've wasted too much time in my life, and I'm behind the 8 ball. I should be further along now than I am, and the reason why is because I've wasted time. So save money and use your time wisely is what I would say.
That's great advice, isn't it? For everybody.
Thanks.
Oh man. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up, dude. I can't believe it's been an hour already.
Yeah. It's always great talking to you, Jack.
Oh, you too, bro. So if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you, man?
Sure. So my email is loganegraff@gmail.com. My Facebook is Logan E. Graff. I'm easy to find on the internet. And then if you have my phone number, you know where to reach me. But yeah, that's the easiest. Any emails or questions about Logan Slogans can go to loganegraff@gmail. I'm always interested in coming to talk to sales teams or, doing free communications like this.
Yep.
I haven't built up a customer base yet to be able to charge. And you know what? I'm still looking to learn some more stuff as well. So that would be the best way. That's
awesome, man. Dude, I can't appreciate, number one, your time today. Number two, your growth and our friendship. And I enjoy working with all your guys. You're just top notch. There's never any drama. It's just very casual. Let's get done and move to the next one, man. So I enjoy it, man.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the support. And there's more coming, my friend.
The next storm, baby, right?
Yes, sir. You stay safe out there, Jack.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Because the Experience Matters podcast, we're going to wrap up. And YouTube, Amazon, Spotify are all the big, iTunes are all the big ones. So, Logan, take care. Tell Sam I said hey. Happy birthday to your wife and everything. So,
all right.
Bye, buddy.
Man.
Thanks,
all right,
Logan.
Take care.
You too, bro.
Thanks for tuning in to the Because Experience Matters podcast. That's all for today's show. If you want to learn more or work with Jack in person, visit www.thejackhanks.com. Oh, and don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify to continue to grow the podcast and change the industry.